and welcome to the City of Battle Creek, Michigan, and the Battle Creek City Commission meeting for August 15th, 2023. It is 7 p.m. We have a lot of good information this evening that will be presented to us. So we'd like to get our business meeting started. We're going to have a moment of silence for our invocation, and then I'm going to call upon the Vice Mayor to lead us in a pledge. Would you please stand if you're able to for a moment of silence? Vice Mayor Sophia.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much, Vice Mayor. Next item on our agenda is roll call. Madam Clerk, when you're ready.
Commissioner Ballard.
Present.
Commissioner Lance.
Here.
Commissioner Morris. Here. Commissioner O'Connell.
Here.
Mayor Banky.
Here.
Commissioner Reynolds.
Present.
Commissioner Simmons.
Here.
Commissioner Smith.
Present.
Vice Mayor Sophia.
Here.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Commissioners, for all being here. I really appreciate that. Next item on our agenda is the presentations. All three of them are very important, and I hope everyone will be listening. I'd like to start with our communications specialist, our communications manager, Jessica. Jessica, please come forward. And we are time limiting a 10-minute presentation. And I will notify if you're going over.
I work really hard to keep it under 10 minutes.
Thank you.
Okay, real quick, first of all, the commission knows all about this. Today's a really special day. Nationwide, this is City Hall Selfie Day. Yes. This is a day that's celebrated nationwide. It's organized by a local government advocacy organization called Engaging Local Government Leaders, or ELGL. This is the 8th year doing it. And it is a day that we celebrate local government. We celebrate city halls, police departments, fire stations, wastewater treatment plants, all of our city facilities and the staff members within those facilities. I am thrilled that all 9 of our commissioners are here tonight because my staff report has never fallen on this day before, and I wanted to take this opportunity to selfie with the 9 of you.
You want us to stay in our seats, right?
You can stay right there. We tested it beforehand to make sure, and everyone can just sit at the dais and smile, wave, whatever you want to do. I might have to move out. That way I don't block anybody. All right, thank you. Thank you. That is cool. That is a first. So.
Thank you, Jessica.
Okay, on to the staff report part. So I am Jessica. I'm the communications manager for the city, and I have presented before you previously, so I'm just going to give a quick review.
Oops. It's fine.
I've been in this position for almost 10 years now. Eric McClure is our new specialist. He's been here just about a year, so we've got some time under our belts now. You will most often see our projects show up in the governance community result of our priority-based budgeting. However, we work with every department, so we are sprinkled throughout the rest of the results as well. We have some big goals in communications to educate our staff and community, to engage our community, to build trust with our community, and to inspire action and success among our staff and our community. There's a lot of information on the next 2 slides about our social media, so I'm going to stay high level and everyone can take a look at the numbers and information as well. These are the platforms that we use. This, from left to right, we have Facebook, Nextdoor, Instagram, Twitter, or X. The branding is going through a change right now. YouTube and LinkedIn. There are statistics up there about the people who follow us on these platforms. The thing that makes me happy is to see all of those increase over last year. YouTube continues to be the largest increase at 45%. Video is still a big deal. Video is still something that draws a lot of attention and a lot of traffic, and so that is something that remains popular for us as well. The platforms do different things for us. Facebook and Nextdoor are both very high engagement for the city. And Nextdoor, if you're not familiar, is kind of like Facebook, but for neighborhoods. Our city presence on Nextdoor is divided into our neighborhood planning council areas. So neighbors are able to talk amongst themselves to recommend different things in the city, different services, talk about missing pets, or if someone has had a vehicle theft or something like that that is within their neighborhood, they can talk about that in their neighborhood. Instagram is a lot of video and photos. Twitter, we are most connected with local media on there. Our community engagement is not as high. YouTube, again, video, and LinkedIn is a lot of job postings and team features. So this slide just talks about our top posts on all of the platforms over the last year. Some commonalities between platforms, since they do different things and we have different audiences, sometimes different posts are popular on each of these. One that was popular, for example, on both Facebook and YouTube was the unfortunate situation where someone had a medical emergency and their car crashed onto the airport grounds. We had the air traffic control tower video of that we shared, and that was something a lot of people looked at. When our Fire Station 4 reopened, that was a top video on Facebook, and we do have a fire department Facebook presence as well. On LinkedIn, our awareness discussions, Public Service Recognition Week was our top post in the last year. We did a post for work zone safety awareness, which is very important right now still. And we are just finishing up fire department recruitment for our next eligibility list, and talking about that process was also a top post on LinkedIn for us. And you can see the rest of those listed. So social media takes up a lot of our time, but there's a lot of other things we do too. So I wanted to go through a few highlights for us right now. One is education about the City Commission. One is about our messaging for construction. This is obviously a very heavy season for us. And then some of the newsletters and publications that we're working on. So first is our City Commission education. One of our work plan items for communications was to do something to help make the City Commission more understandable. This is a business meeting. There's a lot of city business done here, a lot of official language and legal actions and things like that. And so we wanted to make that even more accessible to the community. So what we've done is a couple of video series. So the image on the left that has the microphone, these are our agenda previews. And so typically those are coming out the Friday before a meeting, Thursday or Friday, after the agenda comes out, where we go through briefly each agenda item, trying to keep it in plain language, give people a quick overview of what's coming up. And then afterward, we do action roundup videos, and so that kind of mimics the preview, but then goes through and explains each of the votes, so that people can close that loop on the action items that you have before you. And then we also have an introduction video that goes through each of the potential sections that a commission agenda might have, so that people know what each of those are. And we've had these out since early spring, and we post those around. They're getting pretty good traffic, so we're happy with that. We're always looking for feedback, so anybody who's watching, if you're seeing these are on our YouTube channel under the City Commission playlist. That's where all the meetings appear too. Just look for those images and you will find those videos to help you keep up with the actions. Construction messaging. So we're trying a lot of different things here to get information in front of as many eyeballs as we possibly can. Mapping has become even bigger for us this year. Eric is has really taken our GIS system that our GIS has developed to the next level with doing different colors for different parts of projects, changing the lines depending on if how long that part of the project will last, using our arrows for detours, We even have a part of the system now that is showing the closures and the detours, and that shows up on Google Maps, so we can be more helpful to people that way as they are navigating through and around the city. We have a special notification on through the website that's specific to Capital Southwest and the bridge in particular, but anything that's going on around that area. It got up to about 200 subscribers, so we're still putting out that information in all of our other ways and on our other channels. But this is something we've tried for a few projects now over the last couple of years, and so we'll just kind of monitor that and see if that's something that we should keep doing for specific projects. We also try to get photos and do social media announcements of changes or openings. We posted some photos when Helmer reopened, when the water main project moved down Beckley, and so those are always things that people like to see when we have updates. And then finally, our news and information publications that we're working on. We've had a couple newer ones in the last couple of years. On the lower right is this year's water quality report. This report is required by the Environmental Protection Agency, and we work with our water staff to put that together. This is the second year we've produced that completely in-house, and it allows us to change the look of it more than we could if we used the template that goes with using a vendor to do that. We're able to get more local information in. We can feature our staff, more of our projects, more of the things that our water division is doing, and try to make that report really relevant to everyone who's on our system. In the top left, that is the spring issue of our BC City Connection newsletter. This year we are trying it mailed directly to homes in the city limits. We've tried to make that number cover rentals and owned homes and everywhere, try to get everywhere. We are finishing up the summer one right now, so that's going to hit mailboxes very soon, I hope. And we'll be asking for feedback about that soon as well to see how the community is reacting to receiving it that way, directly mailed to them. We hope that's something that has been really helpful to people. And finally, as a complement to the mailed newsletter, we have a monthly email newsletter that is going out. It's including links to the commission meeting videos that we're producing to give more information, some of our more timely news items that won't make it into the quarterly newsletters, things that are happening in between. So far, that's going really well for a mailed newsletter. The numbers might not look very high, but for a mailing, everybody is mailing newsletters, and I'm sure you all have very full inboxes just like we do, and so those numbers are actually quite good. So in just a few months, we have 76 people subscribed. I believe no one has unsubscribed yet, so that is, that is a good statistic. We have a 64% open rate, which means that percentage are actually looking at the email, which is huge. Anything over 50 is amazing. And an 18% click rate, which means that percentage of people who get the email are actually clicking on something that we have shared within the email. And anything around 20% is amazing as well. So that's doing well so far. I wanted to give a quick behind the scenes because for as much as we do in communications that the community can see, there is a lot that we do to prepare for those things or that we do behind the scenes that people are not seeing as much. One of those is taking selfies. One thing that we've changed in the last year is our workflow. Our staff has been wonderful in picking this up quickly and using it and helping us. We use a web service called Airtable, and that's, you know, kind of like your Slacks and your Asanas and all those other work softwares that people can use to be more organized. And what that allows us to do is create forms where if somebody needs a press release, they can fill out all the information and submit it, and then we both get to see it and we can organize it, and whoever is on or has time or sees it first can get going on it. That helps keep us organized. It helps us see where we're getting those requests from, and You know, in looking at what we've done so far, so we started this at the beginning of last October, so we're not quite a year into it. And for example, we average about a press release a day. So that is a lot, and everything that goes with that, including creating graphics and posting on social media and sometimes many other things. So our workflow is becoming more organized, and that's great for us and for our staff. A recognition we received this spring was from Government Social Media, which is another organization specifically for people who work in government social media. We were recognized in the top 5 nationwide for our Facebook presence, so we're very proud of that. And then we share with others a lot. City Hall Selfie Day is one way that we do that, to show off our city, show off our staff, the people who do the jobs here. I speak at conferences. I have spoken in the last year for the Michigan Municipal League about our social media use. I have spoken for government social media about our Nextdoor use. In 2022, we were recognized as the top Nextdoor presence in the nation. And so we did a little bit of a roadshow about that. So we're very proud in communications of our city and our staff and sharing that with the community and beyond. So I mentioned we support all of the departments, the 2 of us do, and that's about a dozen departments, all their divisions, all their staff. So this just shows some of those things that we do for them, press releases and media relations. We put together a lot of surveys. You're gonna hear about some of those later tonight, in fact. Full messaging campaigns that we will plan with folks for events. I'll use that as a quick plug to say, don't forget the Public Works Open House is next Tuesday, the 22nd from 4 to 6 at Public Works. We keep up the website or help other staff to do that. A lot of staff are able to do that for their own departments. We do a lot of proofreading, brainstorming, creative work. There are lots of things that we can do and we do to help support our departments and our staff. And lastly, I just wanted to preview a few other big ideas we're working on, things that are on the way. We're working on a big project for next year, for hopefully a spring to fall schedule. We don't have a name for it yet, but it'll be some sort of city in the park, city in the neighborhood, city on the move, mobile city, something like that, where we want to take a canopy tent and truck ourselves to different locations around the city. Our first thought was parks, where we can pick a park in different neighborhood areas, cover as much ground as possible, and the communications staff will go. We will bring somebody from 311. We will bring technology so people can do some of the services they need, whether that's register to vote, pay a bill, things like that. We may bring the cops officer who's in that neighborhood. If a particular area is having some specific code issues, we may bring a code officer. So we want to try to get somewhere between City Fair, for the commissioners who remember that, where we would take everybody down to Festival Market Square and ask the public to come to us, and like a full mobile city hall, like the county's wellness wagon that's able to go around. So we're looking for a good middle ground that will be easy for us to get off the ground. Doesn't take a lot of materials, but we can get staff out to the community. So we're working on that, lots more to come. We have some big departmental messaging campaigns that will be continuing or coming up. We know that we would be supporting the clerk's office anyway for 2024 elections, but with early voting, that will bring a whole lot of other messaging that we'll need to get out to the community, so we'll be working on that. The countywide public transit conversation continues, so we'll be monitoring that closely and what we need to do to support that. And then we'll be supporting Kimberly Holly and her DEI action plan and whatever goes into that for messaging needs as that develops and moves forward. And DEI is its own departmental sort of project that we'll be working on as well. I already meet with Kimberly regularly. We talk about things like translation, and we've worked together to help the fire department support their recruitment this year. We're working on roundtable discussions with our own staff right now. And as we go through that, we'll see how that will translate to the community later. And we're going to be working on a language assessment starting this fall to see where we're doing well, where we need to maybe combine efforts. We know some departments are able or working on things with translation and making different services available, and we want to make sure we're doing that broadly and cohesively so that we're serving our community in the best way that we can. I know I went through that very fast, but if anyone has any questions, I'm happy to answer them now or later after you've thought about it or looked through numbers and things like that.
Any questions for Jessica? Commissioner O'Donnell.
I just want to say thank you for the city commission updates that you've been having videos on. We've had people say they don't see enough openness of what happens, and I direct them to the video, and they're like, wow, thank you. That's where it's been. So it does help with that, preparing people to come here this evening and understand what's going on. So thank you.
Thank you. I'm so glad to have that feedback.
Any other comments from the commission? I want to say thank you for your police and fire reports. I think that's very important, and I like the ones that are updated. It's information we just don't receive anymore from the local media. So thank you, Jessica.
You're welcome. Thank you.
All right. Well, I'm sorry. I should have turned it over to the city manager for introduction, but I'm going to do it now.
Thank you, Mayor. I appreciate that. Thanks, Jessica. I think we're all set. I get the privilege to ask Alyssa Stewart from the United Way to come forward, the United Way of South Central Michigan. She is their Chief Impact Officer, and she's going to talk a little bit about the Alice population and the results that have been recently released. Alyssa, welcome.
Hi, thank you, City Manager. Thank you, Commission. Thank you for having us tonight. Advancing the slides, will someone be
I will be.
helping with that? Okay, thank you. I'm going to be moving quickly just in the interest of time, so appreciate your help. Thank you for having us here today. We're going to be talking a bit about the most recent Alice report, which was released just a few months ago, and it's titled Alice and the Cross Currents. It's our 2023 report, but it actually provides data from 2020 and 2021, so it really gives us a great snapshot of the economic situation for households in Calhoun County, really at the peak of the pandemic. And so we're excited to share this. We wanted to make sure to ground what we share today in a quick reminder of who we are as the United Way. Many of you know us as formerly the United Way of the Battle Creek and Kalamazoo region. Our name has changed, we've merged. We now cover a 6-county region, but important for the Battle Creek community to know that we are still here, we are still downtown Battle Creek, and still working with partners and projects all across Calhoun County. Move to the next slide. So important whenever we share this data, just to ground us, ALICE is an acronym. It stands for Asset Limited, Income Constrained, and Employed. So this is a comprehensive statewide report. We're going to focus on the Calhoun County data, of course, with you all, but really the report gives a comprehensive look at the hardworking households in our communities whose earnings cannot keep up with the rising cost of living. It's a distinct group of people who are above the federal poverty line, but below the ALICE survival budget threshold for their household. So we'll go to the next slide, which will help us understand more what that means. The report provides a survival budget for each county in the state of Michigan. We're looking at Calhoun counties on this page. I know it's small for folks in the audience, but just to orient you, on the left is all of the line items on the budget. Hopefully this looks very recognizable. It's what our budgets look like, many of us in the room. Things like housing, utilities, childcare, food, transportation, those core items that make up most households' budgets. Then all of the different columns are different household configurations. One of the great things about the ALICE data is that it gives us the ability to customize for different household types, whether it's a single adult, a senior household. But for the interest of time, I'm going to ask us to focus on the third column in from the right, which is a household that has 2 adults and 2 children in childcare. And we'll focus on that because it's the largest budget that's reflected on this survival budget. As you work your way down that, you'll see this is a very conservative budget. If you look at the first line, rent, I always ask when I present, does anyone know anyone who is paying $545 a month for rent? I see heads shaking, right? That would make up what is affordable housing for a family with this income, right? And we know that affordable housing in 2021 was hard to come by, and in 2023 it's even harder to come by, right? We've seen skyrocketing costs. So again, keep in mind just how conservative this budget is. There's utilities, Childcare, which childcare for this household with 2 kids in childcare is the biggest expense by far, right? $1,125 a month for childcare for those children. Food is over $1,000, and many other costs are close to that $1,000 mark. Down at the bottom of this table, you'll see the monthly total of these basic expenses, the annualized total, and then the hourly wage it would take worked full-time to balance that budget, to meet just this survival budget. Now, for a 2-parent household, like the column we're looking at, that's the cumulative wage. So 2 earners making $16 an hour could get just over that threshold, for example. Or 1 parent working a $30 an hour job could get them right above that threshold. So we're going to look at the data for Calhoun County, but it's important to ground it in this budget because what we'll be seeing when we look at folks who are ALICE is folks who are not earning the amount needed for their household configuration. They are below that threshold. Okay? So we've been doing this ALICE report in partnership with the Michigan Association of United Ways and other United Ways across the state of Michigan for many years. So the awesome thing about that is we now have some longitudinal data. So we're looking at that trend graph on the screen now, and you can just see at a high level what this looks like. So the dark blue line at the bottom is poverty, so the federal poverty line. And then that medium blue line above is that distinct ALICE population. So not above poverty, but below the ALICE survival budget wages for their household type. And you can see, for a while, historically, the trends sort of mirrored each other, right? When poverty would go up, ALICE would also go up. But you can see, starting around 2018, the trend line started to converge. So on the positive, poverty is decreasing. And even across 2019, 2020, 2021, it's trending downward for Calhoun County, which is great and should be celebrated, that we're seeing less people living below the federal poverty line. But the ALICE rates are increasing. So folks may be moving out of poverty, but they're sort of stuck, if you will, in many cases in this ALICE space, where they are often not eligible for the things like food stamps, housing subsidies, vouchers, but they are not making enough to be able to save or to be able to be resilient to the things that we all face, whether it's a car repair or unpaid sick time off work, medical bills, those types of things. So as of 2021, this most recent report's data, you can see ALICE is trending upward and poverty is trending downward. Next, the ALICE report gives us some sub-county data, which is great. So because of who you all are, I isolated and kind of highlighted the Battle Creek City data, but you can also see other parts of Calhoun County for comparison. But what this shows us over time is the total households feeding into the ALICE data. The unit of measurement for ALICE, I should have mentioned this, is households, because we know that households are tied together economically, right, when they're all paying into bills and the things it takes to run a household. You can see in 2012, 2015, 2017, 2019, in this most recent report, you can look across that Battle Creek City line and see how things are trending. Now, importantly, this is the number of households that are below the ALICE threshold, so this actually includes those in poverty and those in ALICE. So these are all cumulatively the households that are struggling to different degrees to make ends meet in the city of Battle Creek in this case. So you can see the lowest it's been in this time window that we have here is 47%. The highest is 52%, but we're currently at 50%. So 50% of the households, over 10,000 households, are living below the ALICE threshold. The report also tells us a little bit about wages, because as you know from the survival budget, wages are a critical piece of the puzzle. Wages are not keeping up in many cases with this rising cost of living that we're seeing. So quickly, 31.5% of the labor force in Calhoun County are hourly workers, and only 24.4% are salaried. That includes both full and part-time in both of those categories. What we learned from the pandemic, and many of us know intuitively, is that salaried workers have more stable income. They have more predictable income, and they often have access to benefits, paid time off, and all of those things which are really key for ALICE workers. Even if they're making the same wage, those protections of more consistency in pay and benefits can be the difference between them being poverty, ALICE, or above ALICE. So we would love to see those salaried positions being at a higher percentage than they currently are. Additionally, 70% of the top jobs, and by I say top jobs, the most common jobs in Michigan, paid less than $20 per hour. And as we saw in the survival budget, it would really take, in many cases, wages over $20 to be able to, even cumulatively, get over that ALICE survival threshold. Importantly, whenever we talk about ALICE, we need to talk about the differences in people's experiences in our local communities as far as their economic mobility and the systems that are impacting them. And what the ALICE report shows us is that, like many indicators and data in our community, financial hardship is not equally distributed. So on the screen are the 3 household types that are most likely to be living below the ALICE threshold. And those are single female-headed households with children, households headed by individuals under 25, so our younger households, and then our single male-headed households with children. And then just a little bit behind single male-headed households is our senior households. But these are the top 3 for Calhoun County. But I don't want to gloss past how high that number is, how significant the disparity is for single female-headed households with children. 74% of single female-headed households in Calhoun County are below the ALICE threshold, and the majority of those are below the federal poverty line. Next, race and ethnicity. So we also see disparities in this space. This is a hard one, again, if you can't see the bottom, but I'll try to orient you even just visually to this. The dark blue is federal poverty line again, medium blue ALICE, and then that gold is above the ALICE threshold. So, moving towards more stability above survival. And you can see that first column to the left is Asian households, the second is Black households, then Hispanic, then American Indian and Alaskan Native, white, and then multiracial. So just visually, you can see the huge disparities in poverty rates as we look at our Black households, our American Indian, Alaskan Native households, and our multiracial households have higher rates of being below the federal poverty line. And then when you add that ALICE category on top of it, you can see that our Black households, our Hispanic households, multiracial again, and American Indian, Alaskan Native have significantly higher rates of poverty and of being in ALICE than their white counterparts, and their Asian counterparts as well. Important when we look at these charts related to disparities, just to name that what ALICE confirms overwhelmingly is that the narrative of poverty and a lack of work ethic, it debunks it for us, right? It really shows that there are people working 2 jobs, 3 jobs, that have bachelor's degrees, master's degrees, PhDs. There are adjunct college professors with PhDs who are ALICE based on the wages they're making. It is in every room. It is in every space in our community, every corner of our community, of our city. And they're people doing critical, essential jobs that we need them to be doing, that they're usually very highly trained and highly qualified to do. So it's important to remember that this data is not a reflection of personal failures or individual failures. It's really a systemic issue that we have these disparities that we're seeing here. We have systems that are failing consistently certain groups of people in our community, and that really requires intentional focus for us to address that and to support these households so that their hard work results in more financial stability. A couple warning signs, I'll be very quick. Pandemic supports were impactful. In 2020 and 2021, people got benefits at the level that many folks had not, and ALICE households were eligible for many things that they weren't pre-pandemic, like child care tax credit, expanded SNAP benefits. Those have ended as of 2020 and 2023, so we are seeing now a second wave of impact for many ALICE households. In 2021, only 55% of households below the ALICE threshold had no emergency, 55% of ALICE households below the ALICE threshold had no emergency savings, and 62% have no retirement assets. So that speaks to the fact that if households are caught in this current this cycle of survival, they are not able to build assets and transfer wealth and do all of those things that we know are necessary to have Battle Creek be a thriving, healthy place for generations to come. And inflation is continuing. We're all impacted by inflation, but ALICE households are more impacted because they're often having to depend on credit and other things, and we know that credit rates, interest rates are all rising rapidly over the last couple years. So that's impacting their buying power and their ability to participate in the market. So we want to highlight a couple strategies that we are doing as United Way, but really I'm just going to focus on one because I'm trying to be quick, which is in that healthcare space. So we tied this to some of the line items on the Alice budget. In the healthcare space, we want to celebrate that one of our United Way strategies is really only possible because of the city of Battle Creek. And that is our partnership, your investment in us with American Rescue Plan Act dollars. We have been administering a program called Seeding Health. What that has allowed us to do is to work with local nonprofits, some of whom are in the room today, to allow them to offer healthcare benefits to their employees. Many of our nonprofit sector employees are ALICE. They are making ALICE wages. And it's important that we recognize that they are also essential workers, critical to our community, and they deserve to have access to healthcare benefits. And so just wanted to celebrate that and name that as part of our work together as partners to support ALICE folks in Battle Creek. With that, I'm done. Made it. We would love, I know we, again, really thank you all for taking the time to hear a little bit about the data. We'd love to talk to you each individually more deeply if you'd like to dive. There's much more data we could look at together. If anyone in the room would like to learn more about ALICE, we're happy to do more presentations, and we have some links to our website if folks want to learn more about what we're doing.
We have a couple minutes for questions from the commission. Roger, Commissioner Ballard?
Thank you, Mary.
Yeah.
Thank you for the presentation.
Absolutely.
I do have a question on the taxes on the last part there. And it talks about supporting the Volunteer Income Tax Assistance, VITA,
Yeah.
with goodwill. Could you expand on that a little bit?
Yes, VITA is an amazing program. So VITA is a Volunteer Income Tax Assistance Program. It's an IRS-supported program that happens all across the country. Here in Calhoun County, Goodwill is the provider for that service, and it provides free tax preparation services to individuals making about under $60,000 a year. They can go to Goodwill, they can call 211 to get linked with that during tax season, and they can have a volunteer or staff person do their taxes for free. And they're really working hard to get them the maximum tax benefit back. We know many people go to tax preparers that are for-profit and end up paying a couple $100 in many cases to get their taxes done. We really don't want ALICE folks to be spending unnecessary money on their taxes. We want to make sure they're filing their taxes timely and getting as much money back as they can. So VITA, we are a partner with Goodwill and very much support the work they're doing, and it is a direct benefit to ALICE households to be able to access that. So we thank you for asking, because we love to make sure people know that that is a service that exists. There's also a fully online platform called My Free Taxes that is a partnership with United Way nationally that folks can access. So if they want a person helping them, they can go to VITA. If they want to do their own taxes, they can do that through My Free Taxes. But we don't want anyone paying for their federal taxes that doesn't need to.
Right. Well, thank you very much.
We have two other questions, Commissioner Reynolds and then Commissioner Smith.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Could you share with us some of the nonprofits you're working with?
Yeah, for the Seeding Health or just
Yes.
in general?
In general, yes.
In general. So,
Yes.
we have many. So I know we have a couple in the room. We have VOSA's here, we have Burma Center, and many more. So yeah, we're funding about 25 organizations and around $1.8 million going into Battle Creek and regional programs to serve this community through our multi-year grant-making process. So the list would be too long, but those are two wonderful ones that I know are in the room that I would always love to highlight.
That's fine. Thank
Yeah.
you for
Thank you.
sharing.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you for coming out tonight.
Yeah, of course.
I can't emphasize enough, from my perspective anyway, answering the question of why it is people can work their entire lives and never feel like they're getting ahead might just be the issue of our time, certainly of my generation. Credit card debt just passed $1 trillion for the first time ever. Most Americans couldn't get their hands on $1,000 in an emergency. People are dipping into their 401ks if they're lucky enough to have one at a rate higher than ever. So I really appreciate you coming out and articulating this, and thank you so much for the specific policy ends that you offered as well, too, because
Yeah,
that goes a long way.
Absolutely. The other thing I would note, Commissioner, since you lifted it, you're absolutely right. Debt is not on the budget, and student loan debt specifically is not on the budget. So think about how conservative that budget was. Add on the reality that many of those younger families, which might be why they are ALICE at such a high rate, those younger households, and many of us in our 30s and 40s are still paying student loan debt, right? So that is also something that is not on here, but would even increase the number of ALICE households more.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Alyssa.
Yeah,
Appreciate
thank you.
it.
Thank you all.
Rebecca?
Thanks, Mayor. I get the privilege to introduce another partner that we have. Ta Par is the Executive Director of the Burma Center. They are one of the City of Battle Creek Community ARPA Awards, and I think thankfully they have completed their project as it comes to the city's ARPA funds, and she's here to tell us how that went. Welcome, Ta.
Thank you so much. Good evening, everyone. Again, my name is Tapar. When Laura Adi reached out to me and says, hey, do you want to present at the commissioner meeting? I was like, yes. Normally, I'd be like, oh no, I'm kind of like intimidated, but I'm really excited because your investment has significant impact in our building, so I'm just really eager to be here and to share with you all. Recognizing that we have some new commissioners, I'll just want to provide a little brief background of like who we are, what we do to provide context. So Burma Center is a nonprofit organization that provides services to Burmese community members here locally through education, advocacy, and community engagement. We purchased this beautiful building back in 2014, which used to be in the old Math Science Center. As we had a lot of vision with it, but that original vision didn't come to fruition, so we had to pivot. But what happened naturally was we had a bunch of other local nonprofit that needed homes, and so they naturally came to our facility. So long story short, the building was built in 1965, and as you can see, this was the heating system that we were dealing with. And so when by the time I joined the Burma Center in 2019, we were fixing this heater at least like once a month, and it was a money pit. I think that's the right? Like it keeps draining all our fun. And so it got to the point where we had to close our building several days in a week, and that disrupted learning for the Calhoun Community High School, the childcare programs that we had in the facility, because you can't run a building when you don't have heat. And so that urgency led us to start a capital campaign in 2020 to raise $3 million to tackle critical infrastructure update for our facility. And there were, HVAC, this HVAC system, ADA compliance update, parking lot, and a roof. And all of that was going to cost us a little over $3 million. But we were eager to get started because we know that, if we don't do these things, then we were not only going to displace ourselves, but all the people that were using our facility. And so it felt critical, and with the support of Vince Pavone, who is the chair of our capital campaign, we launched the campaign in 2020. And I am so excited to share with you that we're only $95,000 short to reach our goal. I know. I am so excited. And so, just to touch on the HVAC portion, the city of Battle Creek was one of the key investors in helping us make sure that we were able to have reliable heat. The project was completed officially with everything, like with all the wires in its place. I think April of this year. It took quite a bit of time because COVID happened, parts were missing, and then there's just a lot of, there was an increase in price, and we didn't have the money secure yet, and so we divided the project in like 4 phases to be exact, and so it took a bit for us to complete. But so you saw the old system, right? And so that's a picture of the new system. Like, the significant is wild to me. And then the picture on my left, that side, is the chilling tower. And so what that means is that we now also have air condition. And so our staff were not used to it this summer because we actually have air, and so we had to have like our hoodie on as if it was still winter. And so, but we're just really grateful that the city, even though we're not in the city of Battle Creek like our facility is in Springfield, that you invested in us. And what that means is that we now have a total of 8 tenants in our facility, which include us, and together we now serve over like 500 people daily. And on the weekends, we have so many events like wedding, conferences, quinceañeras, community meetings, and I believe we even house the firefighter training in our facility. I hope you liked it because we have air now.
Thursday.
This Thursday is coming up. Yeah, so now we have air, so you'll be able to enjoy the space. And so after we had reliable heat and air, we hosted 35 events in our facility. And in 2022, we are now at 21 events, and we're booked all the way until I think September on the weekends. And so I didn't realize how much the need was for a venue in our community because for Burmese people, a 300 plus attendee wedding is kind of considered small. And then Battle Creek doesn't have a lot of venue that can accommodate 300 people unless you're renting the arena. And so just having the ability to host like these special occasions for our community felt really special too. And so I say all this to say, Thank you so much to each and every one of you for your investment. Like, we literally feel the impact, like in the heat and the cold, and so thank you. If you are new and you would love to come and see our facility, I would love to show it to you so you get to know a little bit more about who the other tenants are. Thank you again.
Thank you very much. Are there any questions of they? Thank you very much. Okay, next item on our agenda is Chair noting any added or deleted resolutions.
Resolution 220 was added.
Thank you very much, Madam Clerk. Next item on our agenda is petitions, communications, and reports. Are there any?
There were none.
Thank you very much. Next item on our agenda is introduction of ordinance 08-2023, a proposed ordinance.
Recently, Commissioner O'Donnell, with the support of Commissioner Simmons and Mayor Banky, brought forth a request to amend the city's animal ordinance to include ducks and quail. Doing so would provide additional options for local constituents that are allergic to chicken eggs and recognize the cultural importance of quail to the city's Burmese community. Based on previous inquiries, the amendment would also include the keeping of bees. Before drafting the ordinance, staff researched the topic by locating trustworthy resources on the keeping of each type of livestock, finding other community ordinances allowing these types of livestock, and gathering community input. This proposed ordinance, number 08-2023, seeks to revise section 608.30 of city ordinances, urban livestock, to include bees, ducks, and quail.
I move to accept ordinance 08-2023.
Support. Been moved and supported to introduce ordinance 08-2023. Are there any public comments at this time? Are there any public comments? David Moore, please. And then Commissioner Blood after that.
I've been up here numbers of times about this. I don't know why inside the city, where the homes are all close together, and try to make a farmyards out of them. That's something that should be done outside the township. The night door in a crowded neighborhood is not the place or the time to have that in that area, because the smell, the noise, and this ain't the place to have a farmyard. I don't know why they can't do these out in the township more, where it's more open area. I've been living in close houses that are close together and try to make farmyards out of them. I don't know why they want to do that. Mm-hmm. It's just because odor and bacteria and a lot of problems it creates. We won't have that problem out in the townships. That wouldn't be a problem. I just can't see it being done inside of a city in a heavily populated area. Outside, I said I was 100% for it, but not in a crowded neighborhood and try to make a farmyard in a big crowded city. This city is not the place for having farmyards. I'm just, for inside the city, I'm against it. Outside, I might go work with you on that. But I just can't see that point of view to doing this. I think that's not the place where a place we should have that. Thank you.
Thank you, David. Former Commissioner Blood.
Thank you, Mayor and Commissioners. So I am in the process of getting chickens, so I'm excited about that and been building. My hands are all torn up from hardware cloth. And I am excited that this has come back before the commission. I was hoping it would come back when I was on the commission, but it didn't, unfortunately, and now I am excited to see that you guys are revisiting it. I was interested and confused by the surveys because it spoke highly of the sound of ducks and quails and being so loud and dirty. And if you research ducks, there are duck breeds that are quiet. Muscovy ducks, very quiet. If I had one right here in my pocket, you probably wouldn't be able to hear it if there was no mic. very quiet. Actually don't need a lot of access to water, and they're less dirty, as some people say about ducks, which is a choice that is optional. So I very much support this, and I asked my commissioner to support this for all three to be in the city, and I was very excited to see the results of the survey, and that it showed people spoke up, and the majority of people who spoke into those surveys were in support of allowing people to have these, and I'm hoping each of you listen to those constituents who took the time to complete those surveys. I also ask that when you look at this ordinance, you revisit the size. When you look at the sizes, anyone over at an acre can have 10. Anything over an acre is still 10. My neighbors have 2.67 acres. If they want chickens, they can have 10, regardless of the amount they have over. So it might be interesting to look at some of the parcels that are in the city that are larger than an acre, that can house sustainably under the regulations of the permit, making sure they had enough yard space away, that they can have more. I myself have an acre and a quarter almost, and I can have 10. Yet, if you were to have a quarter acre, I could have 3. So logically, in my mind, mathematically, I should be able to have 13 because I have an acre and a quarter. But the cities and my math don't really go together. I'm not sure. So I ask, as this is under revision, that is also something you look at, because there are some of us in the city that do have larger acreage. The other thing that I think is interesting to note, and I'd like you guys to focus on this and actually do some research in your stats and talk to animal control, that between 2018 and recently within 2022, 2023, animal control has had 0 complaints with chickens. And as you listen to ask who's going to try to talk to each of you, I also ask that you ask for their statistics, ask where the animals are coming from, ask where, if they're coming within Battle Creek or Calhoun County, and where they're finding them. So just kind of do your research and kind of talk to people who have chickens, ducks, and quails, and see a little bit further into it. So that's all I ask. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Yes, Autumn Smith.
Good evening. I oppose this ordinance to allow animals because there wouldn't be a need for it if there wasn't destruction of perfectly good agricultural farmland going on in Marshall, Michigan for the CCP battery plant site. I do know that animals are being displaced because of that, and it's commendable that there's people that want to raise them, but you can't move wildlife into city life just like that. I mean, there's also, this isn't meant to be culturally diversive or anything like that, or, you know, bigotry or something, but there's already been reports, I don't know who's following what news outlet or whatever, with the things going on at the border and the CCP people that are being shoved in via our government tax dollars, and some of the cultural beliefs that they do with farm animals are not that great. So I hope that we have people that are equipped to deal with, I don't want to be too graphic, but some of the belief systems that they do by abusing chickens and things like that. So I hope we're fully equipped with what we've got coming in across the border. I hope we're fully equipped with the destruction of the farmland with the CCP battery plant site. And I hope that we have people that are, like I said, fully equipped and licensed and stuff to deal with the carnage that will come with that. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other public comments at this time? Yes, sir. Then I'll go to John in the back.
Hello, my name is Graham. Sorry. So I've got family members that are allergic to duck eggs. Duck eggs have a different type of protein in them that allows people with that allergy to be able to consume them. Duck eggs contain a higher amount of nutrients, including iron, vitamin B12, which is over 168% of your daily value. I know a lot of people go get B12 shots to supplement their B12 deficiencies. It creates creates new red blood cells. Vitamin A 50 is at 50%. Vitamin B6, vitamin E, cholesterol, proteins. The difference in chickens allows people, or the difference in the protein allows people with those problems to be able to live on a daily basis without stomach issues and everything else. Ducks are more green for the environment, which goes with this lady's thing. They require less heat than chickens do. They require less feed. One duck can eat half as much as a chicken and still produce the same amount of eggs. Let me go back. The duck eggs hold more antioxidants, more omega-3s. Ducks they do quack, they do make noise. They also cannot fly. I've got a very short fence that they were not even close to clearing. They're bred to have shorter wings and be heavier bodied for meat purposes and to stay on the ground. So they are domesticated in that fashion. That's all I've got for that, but thank you.
Thank you for being here. Any other public comment at this time? John, I'm sorry.
John Kennefic, 234 South Avenue. I'm in favor of this ordinance. It's very basic and very simple. The basic part is simply that people should be able to be self-sufficient and do not have to depend on the exterior growing patterns of things that we're dependent on. A while ago, there was a major shortage through a chicken flu epidemic, and the eggs went way up in price. This makes them self-sufficient, which is a good thing, and I'm all in favor of them having diversity and things of that nature. I do have an objection to the concept of the government charging permit fees and things of that nature. It's not that ducks and geese do not need to be taken care of. I just think of the government as the protection racket. And somewhere along the line, what will happen is the government will look at its finances and say, you know, we're not being able to extort as much money out of the taxpayers. Let's raise chicken fees or this fee or that fee, which is what you've done in the past. I want people to be able to sell their eggs or utilize their eggs at their own profit without the permission of this commission or the government of Battle Creek. I'm all in favor of this ordinance, except the government part. Because as the old saying goes, this is just the protection racket. Thank you.
So John, are you voting yes or are you voting no?
I'm voting in favor of this, but against the city commission being an extortionist body. Thank you.
Thank you. Ma'am?
Hello. My name is Holly, and I am one of the few probably that are pushing for the duck and quail. My number one reason, along with many others that can probably side with me, is my food sensitivities to chicken eggs. It doesn't matter how they're cooked. They do not settle whatsoever. So with trial and error, I have found that duck eggs, quail eggs, even a couple other different animal eggs also do not make me sick. But on a couple positive notes, the carbon footprint for allowing more families to have the option other than chickens, I guess, would be like less plastic, less styrofoam, less people going to the store. They would be able to source their own food in their backyard. They would be able to produce eggs. Once those hens are past their egg-laying time, you have the option to use the body for meat. I feed my dogs PMR diet, which is a complete all-raw diet, so I can utilize basically the full carcass of the animal once it's past its production time period for myself. The excrements from the ducks are also a natural fertilizer, which are way less smelly than pig or cow manure that most people use for their gardens, that some people in the city use or get brought in. ducks do quack, dogs bark. So I actually have had ducks throughout my adulthood, and I actually had an employee from the city come to my residence. And at this time, I had numerous ducks on my property. And they could not be seen, they could not be heard, they could not be found, they could not be smelled. They couldn't tell that I had any ducks on my property, yet they were to freely roam my whole backyard, my whole fenced-in backyard. And they were not found. My neighbors also, they watch the ducks play with the dogs in the backyard, they swim in the pool. I haven't had any issues with my neighbors. So I just think allowing another source for us to be able to provide food.
Ma'am, I'm sorry, but our timer isn't
Okay.
working. Your
Yeah.
time is up.
Thank
But
you.
thank you very much.
Yep.
And one of the commissioners has asked that you give the address where you live. He's deliberating on his decision. He wants to see how many live in the city of Battle Creek. So are there any other public comments? Reese Atkins.
Good evening, Reese Atkins, 904 Marion. I wasn't going to speak on this, but as I got hearing the people saying, I decided why not. I look at this as very good. I look at it in a different standpoint, as all of you commissioners know that I do work at a food pantry. Eggs are something that we do give out. At times we cannot because of the price of them, but I see this as a standpoint that if people get these eggs, they have too many of them, or they just wish to get rid of some of them. We do accept donations of different stuff like eggs, produce, and stuff like that. So I would see that it would be a beneficiary to help the food pantries, which we turn around and help out on average between 60 to 70 people in a 3-day period of time at the one that I work at. And there's 6 different ones in our neighborhood. So I see this as a good thing with the food pantries because it could help us out in the long run. Thank you.
Thank you, Reese. Any other public comment? Yes. Kathy?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, Commissioners, City staff. A few items. First of all,
Kathy, you live on Park Ridge.
Oh, thank you very much. 117, you just said that.
I didn't have the number memorized.
I've got the old memory going, so today, thank you. 117 Park Ridge, thank you very much, which I believe you might know. So our experience over the last several years with the chickens has been very positive. Bang, fact 1. 2, ducks, quail, and the bees are all domesticated animals. They're not wild, so they won't survive very well without human interaction. So I think there's every reason that we should have them in our backyards, as long as our backyards are of appropriate size and all those appropriate things. I think that's fine. And by the way, the noise thing, this horde of outrageously loud birds woke me up this morning, and they were wild birds. Now, I was going to call the city and the police, but I really didn't think that would be appropriate. So just noting noise-wise. Also, yes, I agree that there should be a fee, and it should be adjustable depending on the individual's income levels, et cetera. But I do believe it's appropriate for us to have a fee because there is a cost to the city for doing business and monitoring and creating permits for this process. So I'm in good agreement with that. I can't believe I can't believe someone else didn't want to bring money in. Anyways, and 4th, please do your own research, talk to your own people, make sure they're good sources, and please don't be swayed by cherry-picked racist conspiratorial comments and ideas that may be laid at your feet in regards to what may happen to chickens or birds, ducks, quails, etc. in our neighborhoods. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Kathy. Any other public comment? Any other public comment? All right, any commission comment? Commissioner Simmons, Commissioner O'Donnell.
Thank you, Mayor. Everyone to support this, getting us at least out here for discussion tonight. Just a few things. We talked about the survey earlier, and looking at it right now, it says, are you interested in keeping ducks? With the combined total of 69%, people are saying, yes, I'm interested, or no, but I'm not opposed to having others have them. So that 69% of our citizens are turning that in as their answer to the survey. It looks pretty good. There's other cities in the state that have duck ordinances, and they're quite larger than ours. Ann Arbor, Lansing, Holland. They have ordinances. Some do charge, some don't. It just depends on them, but it allows for people to have those type of animals. Due to sizing, most property inside the city doesn't qualify for it because of the size of their lot. They're just under that. They have to have a double lot or more to at least qualify for the first round of chickens and ducks. So a lot more in the city. There's really not going to be that many. It's going to be larger pieces of property, and that's what currently is right now. My daughter was saddened at the first time we couldn't put the coop. We'd have to put the coop in the center of the yard if we were going to have ducks or chickens the first time. So I understand that, but I'm not opposed at all to having others have it, even though I'm not allowed to during the current restrictions. I did some research on this before we came. Ducks are actually much more cleanlier than chickens, especially in your gardens. Because you're going to have ducks and chickens, you're most likely going to have a garden, grow wonderful wildflowers, things like that. It's great for the environment. We heard earlier about the nutritional value of duck eggs, which is great. Allowing self-sustaining families to do what they like and eat what they like is good too. When I was looking at the city mission just before I came in, it says, this fits well within our mission. It's to ensure a safe, prosperous, culturally enriched community. So I look to the communities that do the quail. We could be the first city in Michigan to have the quail, and helping out our cultural members of our community. So I'm definitely for this. Oh, and one other thing, Michigan State puts out a flyer to help with getting backyard animals out there. So if a university is wanting to help that, and that helps them with their studies, and at Michigan State, who is a farm college and university, we're looking at educating young students now by just having ducks, chickens, and quails, and bees. And the bees are great, and same thing, there's a yard ordinance for that. The one thing is to get this moved so quickly, to miss the planning, we had to leave it exactly the same as just adding to it. So that's the fee schedule still stays the same. Everything stays the same, just adding more verbiage to this ordinance. So thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Simmons?
First off, I want to thank Commissioner Patrick O'Donnell for introducing this ordinance revision. I was happy to co-sponsor that with you. I'm very supportive. I don't really need to add anything to the positive comments that we've heard from those in attendance this evening about allowing folks to be self-sufficient, freedom issue. Should you have the ability to do on your own property what you'd like. I will remind folks that live in covenant communities, neighborhoods, that they probably don't allow those anyway, so your neighbors aren't going to get those. I've had chickens in my yard for 5 years, since 2018. Mayor Benke, you were just at my house this weekend, asked me to see the chickens. Did they smell bad?
No.
I got 10 of them. I got 10. Had ducks. My kids convinced me one spring to get some. They saw these cute little ducks at the Tractor Supply. We got them. I'm the absolute opposite. Come to find out, I'm just really allergic to duck eggs. My wife made a big plate of scrambled duck eggs one day. It made me sicker than a dog, so our ducks got kicked out. But I understand and to provide options for you. As far as the city fees, the city does come out and take a look at the piece of property that you're going to put these animals on, the enclosure that you're going to have them in. If you're going to build a coop, falls within our building ordinance. You got to submit plans, because we all do live, to acknowledge David Moore's comments, we do live close together. We want to be responsible neighbors and make sure we're doing it right. And I think Commissioner Blood mentioned 0 complaints in the last, at least from the folks that have gone, taken their time to do it right. And the people that will get these ducks, quail. By the way, quail, that was something that was just completely not on my radar. And I appreciate you adding that along with the ducks. My children went to school. I don't know how the conversation came up to talk about what we're voting on, and come to find out my daughters have several Burmese friends that have quail. And that's, for their culture, I guess, that is something very important to them. And so I'm happy to help facilitate that. I don't know anything about quail. I'll have to look into them a little bit further. And I've always been a proponent of the bees as well, as if you're able to do that on your property. So I'm very supportive of this, and encourage my fellow commissioners to support this as well. Thank you.
Very good. Vice Mayor, you look like you'd like to say something.
I have long been opposed to allowing farm animals in the city. Ducks, quail, and bees, I continue to put in that category of farm animals, and so we'll be opposing this. You know, I do, and I mentioned to the city manager, I don't know who on staff would have this, the answer to this question, but how many properties in the city do we have that would qualify for chickens, ducks, quail, bees?
You know, that's a really good question, but we really didn't look into that much, because we did put in the ordinance that there would be a limit. Basically, like we started out with the chickens, started out with a smaller number that would be allowed, and also the size of the lot's going to reduce that down more. I think as someone mentioned that most of the lots in the center of downtown are going to be 5,000 to 7,500 square feet, or 5,000 to 7,500 square feet. So there are larger lots throughout the city that are in the downtown, but some of them are 1 acre, 2 acres, 3 acres, and they would be able to accommodate animals of this nature.
Vice Mayor, please know we're working on putting that together. It just wasn't ready for tonight.
I understand.
So certainly, if the commission introduces the ordinance, we can have that at the next meeting.
Maybe something broken down by NPC. I mean,
Sure. Yes, we can actually probably sort by the size of the lots.
I mean, I know that it's not a problem in my neighborhood because a couple of colleagues here live not far away, and there is no way that you could situate a structure that's going to be far enough away from the property line
Right.
and far enough away from residences, but.
So if we looked at NPCs and then looked within that area for lots that would be big enough to have any of these animals.
That would be, yeah.
All right,
Yeah.
sure.
And I would also point out that Irving Park has a nice little flock of, I think there's about 14 ducks that I see every morning when I go out there for my walk. There's a little flock.
Thank you for all the information, Vice Mayor. Roger?
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to say in Ward 1, 90% of the people that I've spoken to are in favor of this ordinance, and only 10% are not, so.
Okay, are we ready to vote? Okay, please vote. The introduction has successfully been approved. Next item on our agenda will be the introduction of proposed ordinance 09-2023.
I move to introduce ordinance 09-2023.
We're going to receive that as soon as
sorry about
we have
that.
our clerk read it.
Chapter 282 of City Ordinances were adopted at the June 26, 1990 City Commission meeting by Resolution Number 155. It has an unusual history. No members have been appointed to this board since 1995. Thus, it has remained dormant for more than 25 years. In addition, a reorganization by the city manager has also made the repeal of this chapter, which established the most recent iteration of this board, appropriate. The former title of Parks and Recreation Director was changed to Recreation Director. The duties related to city parks was reassigned to the Field Services Division of the Public Works Department. Thus, the chapter establishing this board is obsolete and appropriate for repeal. This proposed ordinance number 09-2023 seeks to repeal Chapter 282 of City Ordinances, Parks and Recreation Advisory Board, as it has become obsolete.
Okay, now that you know what it's about, I am happy to introduce, make a move for a motion number 09-2023.
Support. It's moved and supported to introduce the proposed ordinance 09-2023. Are there any public comments? Are there any public comments? Seeing none, are there any commission comments? Seeing none? Oh. Would you please vote on the proposed ordinance 09-2023? The introduction of the proposed ordinance 09-2023 has been approved. Next item on our agenda is public comment regarding consent agenda and resolutions not on the consent agenda. If you'd like to make public comment regarding the consent agenda and resolutions not on the consent agenda, please raise your hand and we will acknowledge you to come forward to the podium. You will have 3 minutes to make your comments. Please state your name and address before beginning your comment and indicate which resolution you are speaking to. Are there any public comments at this time? Commissioner Linmore Gray.
Hello, Commissioners and Mayor, Vice Mayor. Lynn Ward Gray, 245 Irving Park Drive. And I just wanted to stand in support of Resolution 212 on your consent agenda to place fiber optic cable in Claude Evans Park. That is wonderful, and I am in support. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. We appreciate you being here tonight, too. Are there any other public comments at this time? John Kennefic.
Resolution 218, please. My name is John Kennefic, 234 South Avenue. This is in regards to changing the fees for the inspection division. I'm going to read you part of the backup. I'll read you what the resolution is, and then I'll read you the backup material. A resolution seeking to approve adoption of standard valuation model for the inspections division building permit fee structure. Now let's go to the backup material. What does it say? It says, fourth paragraph down. Industry assessment is that this model, the one that we currently have, is archaic and does not align with the true value of construction. I guess that means you want to raise costs. But it says here at the top, second sentence, in the budgetary consideration, it is anticipated that there will not be an increase or decrease in permit fee revenue, rather it will equalize fees based on project construction value. Really? You'll find in your packet, these are the proposed construction value tables for the increases that have yet to be approved. Now, I understand you had a meeting and I went out and talked to a number of people that were in the construction industry, and they were very informative. And they explained to me a few things that you may not have heard, the citizens, not the commission. And that is that when a person comes out to put in a furnace, a licensed contractor or a water heater, there's a fee involved that's paid to the government of Battle Creek. Notice I said the government, not the city. I don't want you to confuse the two. So when the person pays for that installation, that's included in the cost of that installation. The contractor pays nothing. It's the person that's putting that furnace in by the contractor that's paying the fee. We got people back here that were here in the last commission, or the commission meeting that was bringing this up, that again said some interesting things. And the interesting things was they felt it was not satisfactory. And I can understand part of the inspection division's or the contractor's problems with the inspection division. If you want to read something interesting on the inspection division, go back to the Battle Creek Inquirer and look at the theater that's next to the Goodwill on Helmer Road and all the hassles that they had gone through with the inspection division. There are problems there. Yes, they need to be concerned. And one final interesting comment by the contractors, and that was they preferred the inspection division of Kalamazoo because they were more pliant in working towards resolving issues compared to the city of Battle Creek. And finally, some years ago, was going to hire a contractor to do some work for me, but he refused to come into the city of Battle Creek because of the climate here. Thank you.
Thank you, John. Any other, Autumn Smith, and then we'll go Reese Atkins.
Autumn Smith, Massachusetts Avenue. I too am speaking on 218. I agree with Mr. Kenefick. We just had a presentation showing about how tight everybody's budget is, and then you're gonna try to add fees to it? You know, people can't buy groceries, people can't pay for daycare, people can't make a living, and stuff like that. And Mr. Kenefick was right, because the government of Battle Creek is different, but it's also the corporation of Battle Creek. You guys have a Dun and Bradstreet number. You guys are a corporation. So I just want to make that clear. I don't think we need any more corporate government in our lives. Thank you.
Reese Atkins, please.
Reese Atkins, 904 Marion. I'm looking at this. It says city manager report for August 15th. It also says ambulance report for July of 23. I would like to see those reports. I mean, you're putting them on here, but you're not giving us any statistics or anything on these reports. I would like to see if you're going to put them on for you guys to approve, for us, the residents, to be able to see these reports and what they're exactly doing. Because right now, we don't even know what you're approving. All we know is you're approving some reports. What are the reports? What do the reports say? So I would like to see if we can get these reports added onto the agenda so that the public can see what they are. Thank you.
What resolution are you referring to?
They're not resolutions. It says city manager report for August 15th of 2023, and it says ambulance report for July of 2023 right in front, right above the resolutions is what it says. So you're approving these reports, but nobody can see these reports.
Mayor, if I could just add, the reports are attached. If you go into the online agenda and click ambulance reports, the report will come up in a PDF form. Or we're happy to share those if you were in City Hall. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Any other public comments at this time? Seeing none? We'll move on to commission comment regarding meeting business.
Move to accept the consent agenda.
Support.
So moved and supported to approve the consent agenda. Are there any questions by the commission? Commissioner Simmons.
Not a question, and I'm not asking anything to be pulled, but on Resolution 209, my wife is Benita Simmons, being approved, reappointed to the Battle Creek Housing Commission, and I spoke to the city attorney a little earlier in case there's any kind of conflict or appearance of conflict. My wife is an uncompensated board position on the Housing Commission, and it's no financial benefit to our family. It's a good community service, and they're doing some good work there. Thank you.
Thank you for her service. Any other commission comments? Seeing none, would you please vote on the consent agenda? consent agenda has been approved. Next item on our agenda is Resolution 214. Madam Clerk, when you're ready.
On March 21, 2006, the City Commission considered and approved 2 resolutions establishing policy on the purchase of military time. The policy permits a maximum purchase request of 12 months and is at the total discretion of the City Commission. The current request from Fire Lieutenant Jeremy Pratt falls within the guidelines of the policy. This resolution seeks authorization for Fire Lieutenant Jeremy Pratt to purchase 12 months of military time for the purpose of increasing his service credit toward retirement.
I move to accept resolution number 214.
Support. Been moved and supported to approve Resolution 214. Any questions from the commission on this? Seeing none, would you please vote on Resolution 214? Resolution 214 has been approved. Next item on our agenda is Resolution 215. Madam Clerk?
A solicitation was issued for renovations to the first floor of City Hall. The solicitation included drawings and project manual for modifications to the first floor treasurer's office and modified entrance to the south side of the building. Also included are project alternatives which would be awarded depending on budget after bids were received. Third floor break room renovation, third floor break room furniture, east parking lot, and city clerk's office. This resolution seeks acceptance of the lowest responsible bid for the City Hall renovation project from Schweitzer Incorporated in a not-to-exceed amount of $1,289,114.
I move to accept resolution number 215.
Support. Been moved and supported to approve Resolution 215. Are there any questions, clarifications, or anything that's needed from the commission on 215? Seeing none, would you please vote on Resolution 215? Resolution 215 has been approved. Next item on our agenda is Resolution 216.
This project on Capitol Avenue, while part of MDOT jurisdiction, was identified and designed by city staff, and construction will be overseen by city staff. Act 51 of 1951 requires local entities meeting population thresholds based on census data to participate in projects when located within their jurisdiction. The act also includes additional payments through a multiplier to aid in these requirements. This resolution seeks authorization for the city manager to sign contract number 23-5307 with the Michigan Department of Transportation, MDOT, for hot mix asphalt cold milling and paving along Capitol Avenue from Rebecca Road to Van Buren Street.
I move to introduce resolution number 216.
Support. Been moved and supported to approve Resolution 216. Are there any comments by the commission? Any questions, clarifications? If not, please vote on 216. Resolution 216 has been approved. Next item on our agenda is Resolution 217, Madam Clerk.
On February 7, 2023, in Resolution 67, the City Commission approved a contract with Mead & Hunt to conduct an airport layout plan. In furtherance of this project, MDOT prepared a contract for the airport layout plan update to be paid for primarily with grant dollars, with the city only obligated to pay approximately 5% of the total cost, which equals $33,715. Once the contract is signed, the city can receive the grant funds to move forward with the airport layout plan update. This resolution seeks authorization for the city manager to execute MDOT sponsor contract number 2023-0565 for the airport layout plan update.
I move to introduce resolution number 217.
Support. Been moved and supported to approve Resolution 217. Any questions by the commission? Seeing none, would you please vote on Resolution 217? Resolution 217 has been approved. Next item on our agenda is Resolution 218. Madam Clerk?
At the June 6, 2023 City Commission meeting, the commission voted to postpone Resolution 159 until August 15, 2023. The purpose of the postponement was for staff to explore additional feedback from contractors regarding the proposed building valuation model. As an enforcing agency for the State of Michigan Construction Code, the Inspections Division Service Delivery, Standard Operating Procedures, and Funding Structure is routinely assessed to ensure fulfillment of both responsibilities and needs of the community. Chief Building Official Rick Bullock had conversations with a representative sample of local developers, design professionals, and building contractors. In addition, staff compiled a sample list of recent developments and outlined the permit fees paid under the current square foot model and the proposed value-based model. The City of Battle Creek building permit fee structure has historically been calculated using a square foot model. Industry assessment is that this model is archaic and does not align with the true value of construction. It has been determined that a square foot model lacks methodology for standardizing building valuations, does not keep up with inflation, and valuations of construction provided by applicants are often underestimated. This resolution seeks to approve adoption of a standard valuation model for the Inspections Division building permit fee structure.
I move to introduce resolution number 218.
Support. Been moved and supported to approve Resolution 218. Are there any questions, clarifications, or comments by the commission? Commissioner Lance.
Thank you, Mayor. And I was one of the opponents to this fee. I do appreciate staff putting together this information for me. I did speak to several contractors, and I understand that staff did as well. I still believe this is a tax on the homeowner and the citizens, and we're going to get hit by it. So I still will not vote for this. I would like to see this, if it is approved, I definitely would like to see this in a year, but this is going to hit the taxpayer. It's going to hit us folks.
Are there any other comments by the commission? Seeing none, would you please vote on Resolution 218? Resolution 218 has been approved. Next item on our agenda is Resolution 219. Madam Clerk, when you're ready.
Local legislative opinion is considered for any new Class C resort licensing for on-premise licenses. This resolution seeks recommendation from Olive Garden Holdings LLC for a Class C resort liquor license with on-premise Sunday sales, AM and PM, issued under MCL 436.1531, Section 4, to be located at 5727 Beckley Road, Battle Creek, Michigan, 49015.
I move to introduce resolution number 219.
Support.
Been moved and supported to approve Resolution 219. Any comments, Commission, have at this time on this one? I just want to thank the investors for bringing Olive Garden to our community, and I look forward to my first opportunity to be there. Any other comments over here? None? All right. Commissioner O'Donnell.
I do got to say, Commissioner Smith was a internet sensation over the weekend with his Facebook just rising. So he well promoted yourself to excite the city with your comment.
Family, man.
Okay.
All right, I sense we're ready to vote on 219. Please vote on 219. Resolution 219 has been approved, and if the developer or investors are here, we thank you. Next item on our agenda is Resolution 220. Madam Clerk.
Pursuant to employment provision 296.09, Section C, no person shall be employed by the city or paid with city funds who has retired under the provisions of the Michigan Municipal Employees Retirement System. The city manager may make exceptions to this provision with the approval of the city commission when she feels the interest of the city would be served thereby. The ATU collective bargaining agreement allows for the hiring of part-time coach operators. Deb Lip retired from BCT in September of 2022. However, she has expressed an interest in returning to a part-time capacity. The city has had difficulty staffing open positions within Battle Creek Transit, and the city manager believes the reemployment of a seasoned coach operator would be beneficial to the needs of the organization. This resolution seeks authorization for the city manager to reemploy retiree Deborah Lip on a part-time basis under 296.09 Section C.
I move to introduce resolution number 220.
Support.
Been moved and supported to approve Resolution 220. Are there any comments by the commission on Resolution 220? Seeing none, please vote on Resolution 220. Resolution 220 has been approved, and I attended her retirement party, and it was a huge turnout. And she had expressed an interest at that time that she couldn't wait to come back to work for the city of Battle Creek. So this is really nice to see. Next item on our agenda is Resolution 221.
As permitted under the Michigan Open Meetings Act, a public body, upon a two-third majority vote, may meet in closed session in order to consult with its attorney regarding trial or settlement strategy in connection with specific pending litigation, but only if an open meeting would have a detrimental financial effect on the litigating or settlement position of the public body. The city believes an open meeting would have a detrimental financial effect on the litigation or settlement position of the public body in both instances of the above cited pending litigation.
I move to introduce resolution number 221.
Support.
It's been moved and supported to approve Resolution 221. Are there any questions by the commission? Seeing none, would you please vote on Resolution 221? Resolution 221 has been approved. Next item on our agenda is a general public comment. If you'd like to make general public comment regarding matters over which the City Commission has control, please raise your hand and wait for us to acknowledge you, and then come forward to the podium. You'll have 3 minutes to make your comment. Please state your name and address prior to beginning your comment. David Moore.
David, Dairy Queen's going to be closed.
I pray so. We'll get her next time. Oh, well. So everything's to look forward to. I want to add a little bit more to my last public comment. You talk about saving money. I don't worry about the safety of that meat. These stores and restaurants, grocery stores, gotta have a cold appliance and have it inspected. These things that are sold privately are not inspected. When you sell chickens that may not could have a disease or anything that could make anybody sick, they'll be liable for what will happen. Because these businesses, they got to pay money to have them food inspection by the health department and make sure the stuff is safe. And you got to feed them and take care of them and keep the place clean. I don't really see a big savings in it. And I just, a little more I'd like to add to it. So again, are you people reading through the lines of these proposals? Fully understand it. There's a lot of people can't take care of their dogs and cats. There's a lot of dogs still going astray. People got big dogs in their yard If somebody, like down where I live, there's little kids walking down the street. I hear dogs around barking and jumping, you big, large dogs. If one of those dogs should go over the fence, injure one of these little kids, that's going to be a sad thing to see. I think a lot of times, these dogs are big enough, it can go over a 4-foot fence, could go over it. Well, I'm very concerned about some of these dogs that's in these yards. It's these small, located areas where houses are close together. Some of these things are not safe. You study all the issues, read between the lines of these proposals, understand them, get involved with it. Like I said that last week. So I guess that's all I can say for right now. Thank you.
Thank you, Dave. Any other public comment? Lynn Ward Gray.
Lynn Ward Gray, 245 Irving Park Drive. Hello again. I just wanted to welcome everyone to the Battle Creek Community Foundation annual meeting that takes place tomorrow, Wednesday, August 16th, from 4 to 6 p.m. at the Cool Family Community Center. Again, everyone is welcome, your whole family, everybody at your office, everybody here at City Hall. You guys just, I can't leave at 4, but at 5, head there and have a good time. We are also in the midst of a CEO search, President CEO search, and we're asking for public comment. So if you would like to give public comment on what characteristics and what you'd like to see in the next president and CEO for the Battle Creek Community Foundation, we want to hear from you. There are a couple of opportunities. You can go to the Battle Creek Community Foundation Facebook page or Instagram page and get that information. It's a meeting this Friday, is virtual at 3 p.m. and it'll have the QR code to scan on our Facebook page. And you can attend meetings on Monday, August 21st, so this coming Monday, August 21st, at the Cool Family Community Center. There's a 9 o'clock, 2 o'clock, and 5:30 for different constituencies. Again, that's on our Facebook page. So I hope to see you all tomorrow, free and open to the public, plenty of food. I understand there's going to be some elephant ears. It's going to be a festival. Yeah, I don't know if those will reheat well the next day, so you got to come tomorrow. And of course, we'll be celebrating the leadership of Brenda Hunt as she transitions. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Len. We appreciate that. Any other public comment at this time? Yes, Autumn Smith.
Good evening, Autumn Smith, Massachusetts Avenue. I just wanted to say, I don't know if people are aware, but from what I've been told from other officials in Marshall, we are providing water to the CCP battery plant site. I am going to be a vocal opponent of that because I do believe it violates the treason clause in the Constitution. I do not feel we should be aiding and comforting the enemy. I also do not think any of you guys are licensed foreign registered agents in violation of Article 2, Section 2, Clause 2 of the United States Constitution. With that being said, in other news, we're talking about, jobs earlier and stuff like that, and having a hard time employing people. I would like to let people know that since the pandemic, a lot of things have been changing in the health industry. I had a wonderful conversation with a gentleman who was featured in USA Today on July 26th. His name's Foster Colson. He's the CEO of the Wellness Company. I have recently become an affiliate with the Wellness Company. You can read more about them at twc.health, twc.health. I also encourage people to recommended reading what's in the Pfizer documents. Our lovely neighbors to the west of us, Kalamazoo, Pfizer, there was a release of thousands and thousands of documents regarding the COVID vaccine. And right now, the Moderna documents are dropping. You can get a copy of this book at Amazon, or you can read the reports for free at dailyclout.io. Dr. Naomi Wolf and the team, and she's not a medical doctor and she cites that, but her team has released these. They were trying to keep these suppressed for 75 years, long after all of us were dead and gone. And I'm sure every single one of us have been affected in some way or the other from COVID, and whether or not you got the vaccine or not, it's aerosol, it's spread, it's called shedding. If anybody has any questions about it, the reason it's concerning is because there's been an uptick in violence across the country. There are cognitive behavioral changes, personality disorders. As a result of it, car crashes, things that are happening, they're calling them vaxidents because of it. Sudden adult death syndrome has been a new term that's been coined. A lot of people that are falling out, just boom, you've probably seen it, athletes and stuff. I've got a lot of information on it. I previously wrote for Dr. Naomi Wolf. Before she was Dr. Naomi Wolf, I have contact with her. If you have any questions, I am here to help. I don't believe in bringing something to the table without a solution. Also, something was mentioned about DEI during one of the presentations. I don't know if any of you are aware, but Kellogg's is currently being sued for DEI, woke, and racist hiring practices. So you might want to go short on your K-stock. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Are there any other public comments at this time? Kathy, I see a half a hand up.
I don't want to interrupt ice cream time. Kathy Anteo, 117 Park Ridge. So I want to take a moment to thank the city so much, despite all of the short staffing and all that, for supporting our Neighborhood Planning Council, okay? I'm with NPC number 5, Urbandale, woo-wee. And we had a meeting with over 20 people last night, and again, I can't say enough to thank the city, and I keep looking over at you, Rebecca, because it's your peeps. Sorry. I know it's actually your peeps, but it's her peeps. Hang on. Vanessa Hernandez. I wanted to call her out in a good way because she's really been overwhelmed with a lot of stuff that's been coming down the pike for her because of the changes going on, and it's all good stuff, I understand, and she's still been managing to attend to us. Our NPC regularly has 20 people or more at it. We had quorum last night. Our city commissioner was there. We commonly, let's see, I want to make a note of somebody else. Some local business owners are there. The owner of Cafe Tal comes pretty regularly. We regularly see Representative Hodsma there. Former Commissioner Ward Gray has been there on several occasions, and as well as some of the other commissioners. I do believe you might have been there, Janasia. Maybe not? Okay. Anyways, we get a lot of people to show up. The code department, Eric, I think, hears a lot from our constituents and learns a lot about what's going on in town from the people's point of view. The cops, Officer Rose, has been showing up pretty regularly. He seems to be getting along pretty well with our group. And I just want to say, I think how valuable this particular NPC, the NPC organization in general is to our community, and I only wish that all the neighborhoods could do as well as we do. So thank you very much. Please go to your NPC meetings, commissioners. Thank you.
Thank you, Kathy. Any other public comment? I thought I saw 2 hands over here. Yes, Jerry Steiner.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Jerry Steiner, and I live at 115 South 26th Street in the city of Battle Creek. Every time I come here, I learn something. Chickens I know about. Ducks and quails, I don't. But I know time brings about a change in everything and everyone. But I'm not here for that tonight. I'm here for, once again, to reiterate reparations. Did y'all hear me? I said reparations. Reparations. Let me tell you the double standard. America didn't have no trouble paying the Native Americans what they gave them. They took the country from them. You dig? Then here come the Japanese. They paid them, but they don't want to talk about reparations for the descendants of African American slaves. Let me tell you, we got so many double standards running around here till we can't separate the good from the evil. Look here. they tell us on TV that democracy is under attack. Now, grandmama say you got to go deeper than that. You can't just look at the surface. I believe truth is under attack because some people can say certain things and people just grab a hold to it, while some people can bring the truth and they have problems. I got to tell you, if I threaten the police or the mayor or the city clerk because they say they come at me or they don't like what I do, I'll be up under the jail fast. Ain't no question about it. I wouldn't have to have nobody say, turn myself in the morning or none of that. They'd be to get me. What I'm trying to tell you is America has problems because there's always double standards. Always. They'll say everybody created equal. But that's not true. And for us to evade the truth is a disservice to us all. Every one of us. How can we say that the law applies to everyone when we see on TV that that's not true? How can we see that our fellow citizens who try to make all this good are victimized, ostracized, oppressed? And yet, every day, our leaders say everything all right. The country is on the brink of anarchy. And I got 14 seconds left. And I'm not going to go over my time because I know I'm not going to be allowed anything else. But I'm going to leave y'all like I leave you all the time. Peace.
Thank you, Jerry. Jose. Thank you. Ola.
Good afternoon, Jose Orozco, Executive Director of Voces. Good evening, Mayor Binky, Vice Mayor Sophia, City Manager Rebecca Fleury, and City Commissioners. I just wanted to provide a quick update. Voces has a building, so it finally happened. Yes. We're at 1346 Columbia Avenue West. We have some work still to do, but we got over this initial hurdle with a whole lot of thanks to you all. So thank you all for that. We've also got another project going on 520 West Michigan in one of y'all's buildings. We're working on a little preschool, La Escuelita, where if you haven't cruised by there, cruise by there and see the siding that was donated by the construction. It was in-kinded by the construction company. It's been a heavy lift while looking for a new building and working on a preschool at the same time. If all goes well, we'll be ready towards the tail end of September with 1 3-year-old and 1 4-year-old classroom. Again, that could not have been done without y'all's support. So I think, thank you all, and I'm beyond happy and excited to say I live in the city of Battle Creek because of all the cool stuff that's going on. Regardless of some of the stuff we hear, keep doing what y'all are doing because it is making an impact on our community. Just today, I attended a final class with we're teaching ESL there. John Hart showed up. We're trying to see how we can continue making this happen throughout the community because we can see this being an opportunity and a strategy as we become a bilingual, trilingual, multilingual community. So that's finished. Today, that's it. I just wanted to update you all. I brought along one of my friends, Jonah Hurtado, who was one of the very first young men that I met in the city of Battle Creek, who did an internship my first summer at work at Voces. Jonah is a GVSU pipeline scholar and is getting ready to go back to Grand Valley next week. So I said, have you ever been to one of these meetings? Nope. I said, let's go. And we're here tonight. So thank you all for for doing what y'all do. Have a good evening.
Congratulations, Jose. Any other public comment?
Reese Atkins, 1004 Marriott. I want to thank the city manager, city commissioners for rehiring one of our wonderful bus drivers. I do know, city bus drivers, I do know who she is. I've ridden on the bus with her before. But the city buses are an extremely concerned. They've just redid the schedules once again. I would like to see what the commissioners, the city can do to help out with this. I have a very good friend of mine who works out at the VA laundry. And there are times where he calls me because when he gets out of work, he has to wait an additional hour before he can catch a bus because of the way the bus systems are right now. And that's only one individual at one place out at the VA laundry. There's an awful lot of factories that are out in the fort. How many of these other people are having to sit at these factories and wait an hour to an hour and a half before they can get picked up? And then if you have to work on Saturday, you either have to walk or find another way of doing it. We don't have a taxi cab service in Battle Creek anymore. And there is now no bus service on Saturday. So if you're working on Saturday, you have no way of getting to work unless you get blessed with somebody taking you or you walk. We really need to look and see what the city can do to seriously help get our city buses back up the way they were, to where these routes can be done, especially the one out on Dickman where all your factories are. That one definitely needs to be done at least every hour, if not sooner. So please look and see what we can do to help them people out. Thank you.
Thank you, Reese. Any other public comment? John?
John Kennefic, 234 South Avenue. On July 6th, 2023, the U.S. debt clock for the uninsured debt liability hit $192 trillion. And what that simply meant was every tax-paying citizen in the United States owes back to the federal government just to the uninsured debt liability, not the U.S. debt clock, just the uninsured debt liability of $1,500,000. From July 6th at 2 p.m. when it clicked over to $192 trillion, to August 14th, which was yesterday, at 6 o'clock in the morning, it tricked over to $193 trillion. Within less than 39 days, it went up another $1 trillion. Now, I know that means very little to the City Commission, but that's what's owed back for the uninsured debt liability for every tax-paying citizen. The interesting part of this is if I was doing an investigation on the government of Battle Creek, I would look at all the bonds, which are loans taken out by the government of Battle Creek that made all the citizens of Battle Creek make payments, and what the interest was on all those payments to the tune of tens to hundreds of thousands, 10 million or hundreds of millions of dollars that have been taken out of the community just in interest. That's poor investment policy. You're just leveraging us. That being said, I want to transfer over to a different concept. The last commission meeting was August 1st, 2023. 3 days later was August 4th. That was the 59th birthday of the Gulf of Tonkin incident with the Maddox, the USS Maddox. And only after classified information was released only a few years ago, it was found that the United States, with the help of the South Vietnamese, had attacks on the North Vietnamese coastline where the North Vietnamese responded with torpedo boats against the USS Maddox. The United States President, Lyndon Johnson, said that they attacked us, but didn't explain that there were naval bombardments by the United States Navy against naval or military installations or installations in North Vietnam in the July period prior to the Maddox incident. 57,000 U.S. troops died. More bombs were dropped in North, South, and other countries than the entire World War II. After a while, the U.S. Congress rescinded the Gulf of Tonkin resolution. You got to be very careful of the people you elect and if you really trust them. Thank you.
Any other public comment? We're going to move next to commission comments. Commissioner Patrick O'Donnell.
Yes, I'd like to say, I would like to say we've had some exciting news this evening. Congratulations, Vosas, on your daycare center. Definitely needed in this town, as we talked about earlier with Alice and the United Way, and thank you for all your help you've done with the community. And English is a second language. Selfie day, it's been great. Everybody hopefully get a selfie, put it on there, show off our wonderful city. One thing I would like to say is we talked about the transportation earlier, and we're heading towards the being part of the consortium with the county, having a transit authority. I've been approached by a few organizations, and one of them was Kellogg Community College. They're very excited to have that opening, to have an opportunity to get students from Albion to come feed into the area. So, I mean, we're making progress on that in such different ways that we may have never even looked at, because most of the focus was on Blue Oval, but there's so many other individuals that use it that need it for healthcare and transportation to their jobs. And so that was a great vote for the city a couple meetings ago. Again, I'd like to thank everyone for their comments tonight and their passion for trying to change the city ordinance for the ducks and the other animals. And downtown, we had the car show weekend ago, and we got Color the Creek, so please get out there. We got the presentation by the Community Foundation tomorrow. Hopefully I can make it, and I'll see how the work turns out, but that's always a great event. And you know, cap it all off, Commissioner Smith, thank you for the internet, telling everyone about Olive Garden. So we'll have our soup and breadstick accessories and product. So thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Any other commission comments at this time? Seeing none, we're going to go into recess. We'll be back from our closed session and conduct the rest of our business. Thank you for being here tonight. It's been a very nice meeting. Thank you. And I'll go to Commissioner Ballard for,
I make a motion to approve the requested authorization by the Deputy City Attorney for trial strategy in the case of Neil and Rebecca Nyberg, ETAL, versus the City of Battle Creek.
Support?
there's a motion on the floor and it's been moved and supported. Are there any comments by the commission?
Oh, you already voted.
Would you please vote then?
Where's this going?
I didn't vote yet.
Oh, you didn't? For some reason that had it twice. So you refresh.
Commissioner Reynolds?
Yes.
Thank you.
That motion has been approved. Commissioner Ballard, I believe you have a second motion?
I have a motion to approve the settlement offer recommended by outside counsel in the case of Chad E. Stuck versus the City of Battle Creek.
Support?
Been moved and supported. Are there any comments or questions by the commission? Seeing none, would you please vote? That motion has been approved.
I have a-
Excuse me,
Mayor, one more motion.
Commissioner Reynolds? Yes. Thank you.
Are you, oh,
Okay.
One last motion.
now that has been approved. That motion has been approved now.
and I have another motion to approve the August 15, 2023 closed session meeting minutes.
Support?
It's been moved and supported to approve the last closed-door session minutes. Are there any comments or questions by the commission? Please vote on this motion.
Commissioner Reynolds? Thank you.
That motion has been approved. We'll adjourn the meeting. Thank you very much.
Vicki, do you have to